Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am now trying to start a new video on my boring lectures channel from Kleve, Germany. My name is Norbert Dolzenberg. I'm a professor in the study program Taxation and Law here at the University of Applied Science. And I'm just trying to give you some comments or some introductory hints on what we call academic paper. The first thing is there is a huge mass of information already available on the internet from the most different people everywhere, so you can get enough information about the writing style and decisive and important things. So this video can only be a first idea of what my personal thoughts are, and can perhaps motivate you to look through some links on the internet just to get started and to get the wish to be motivated to find out more. Well, academic papers, what is it all about? You need them for bachelor thesis, master thesis, or perhaps, or most likely during your studies already, when you have to hand in an academic report on some given topic which you got from one of your professors to work on. So in all of these cases, one expects an academic style and working method from you, and what that means is something which we have to talk about. The first important thing I found out during tragic experience in the last years is many people arrive at a university and have no concrete idea what academic writing might be all about. They have heard there are certain questions concerning the style. They know something about footnotes and citations, and you might be reproached or faced with the reproach of plagiarism, and all such things exist, but sometimes I have the feeling that the people forget the most important things. And one of the most important things from what an academic paper is meant for, that's the level of contents. So on which level must your paper be? And the answer is, well, what do you want to show with an academic paper? You want to show to your examiners that you have already been so well trained in the topic that you can write a paper on a respectable level, on an expert level. So the idea is you make yourself familiar with the stuff in question so deeply that you can claim, let's say, equal status with the examiner, expert level. So one thing is absolutely clear: you are not allowed to write things in a way which are nebulous, misty, where one can feel you have no idea what you are writing about. What we want from you is, if we give you an academic paper to write, that you show us that you can go deeply into that topic, find out all the relevant facts, then condense it into a paper where we can see you know everything in that area, and you can answer open questions. So with writing an academic paper, you claim to be a serious player in the field. Now, what does that mean? Well, lose some illusions, ladies and gentlemen. You can't really come forward, hand in an academic paper. There you then stay on the complete surface. impossible. So things like, well, there are some things which play a role for the tax base in the country. There are other elements which are left out. I think, well, very evident and self-evident introduction. Now go on, give me details. And then I have a look and no details are coming. Or don't dare to write down things which are completely on kindergarten level. This is not a children's guidebook. How do I feel about my topic? No, this is a far more serious thing. What can an expert say about that topic? So let's just sum that up. You have heard that academic writing has a certain style. That's right, but that is in the first moment not the most important thing. That is just the formalities. The first thing you must grasp is about the main aims of such a topic. You can learn about the style. We're going to talk about that later. The most important thing is academic writing is not writing rubbish. It's not about how do I feel about taxation or how do I feel about the law. It is just I am going to show that I know about what I talk and that I can cope with the experts. If you don't know what you're writing about, people will see that, they realize that from your papers, and they will draw the conclusion that you are not worth talking to. So it's really important to take care that you don't write low-level things. Go deep into deep content. The topic. Expert level means so you want to show that you can play together with the others. That means you must fully understand what you are writing about. When you have the feeling that you don't yet understand, then be honest to yourself, ask yourself, I don't understand that, what could it be, and then find out. The next thing is, nobody can claim to be an expert if that person is not familiar with what is already there as knowledge. The whole treasure of knowledge which is available must be known to you. You can't go to somebody and say, I now tell you about the important things in a certain field, and then that other person finds out to have no idea about all what is already well known there. So you must make yourself acquainted with the relevant sources, literature, like an expert again. So obtain full knowledge of all the relevant sources. Only stop your looking for new literature when you have become sure, when you are certain that there is no more things outside from which you could still profit. So when you see the additional increase of knowledge for the next book will be so small that it's no longer worth looking for that, when you don't know, or when you make the experience the next book or the next article brings no additional knowledge. That, by the way, has a very brutal implication for your plannings. You cannot seriously think that you can obtain the full knowledge of a certain topic within a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. Usually that is the reason why an academic paper is demanded from you, or that you get your topic at the beginning of the semester and that you hand in at the end of the semester or closely before the end of the semester. We know that it is not possible to go deeply into a topic within 2 or 4 weeks. Now, unfortunately, students sometimes don't know that we know, and they ignore that. So they think we have ample time, it's a full semester. So let's ignore the academic paper stuff and put it aside until the time gets narrow. Now, when it then comes to the worst, that is that you begin to write and you find out, okay, I need some information, and then you don't find it because that takes time. It takes time to read yourself into the matter. It takes time to develop the necessary questions, to find out you need more information, where you can find it, and so on. And so full knowledge means you need very long time for preparation. Again, expert level means if I want to communicate on a level that other people can take me as a serious person. That means I must inform them in a way that no questions are left open for the reader. You will have to dig yourself deep into the matter and find out. Okay, so a good testing question is, would you yourself regard your own paper as satisfactorily informative? So what do you know? There are certain things where you looked away in order not to see open questions. So, and naturally the worst case test is, would you, after reading that paper, still regard the writer as competent? Or would you think that is something on a kindergarten level and the writer is completely done for me? That person is no longer worth discussion. That is important because if you think a bit to the future, after your education, you will naturally go to a job. And from time to time, you get the task to prepare a presentation or to look for information. And then if you then to your boss present a paper which is totally and entirely remaining on the surface, superficial comments with no background, then naturally that is a strong danger for your career, because there will be no career probably if you disappoint people so strongly. That means take that serious. That is the first and most important message I have to you today. Now, when it comes to that recommendation or requirement, you must gain a full understanding of the topic. How can that be done? And the answer is, well, make clear what you not understand. Don't blindly believe in sentences and phrases which you read. Try to explain to yourself, what are they telling me? Can I imagine that clearly? Or is that just, don't know. Yeah? So try to reformulate the things which you read in your own words. Try to understand things clearly. Yeah? If you are sure that you could risk your life for what you have written there, you could explain and answer every question, then it's okay. If you're not sure, then make clear to yourself, there is something I do not yet understand, and try to make it as clear as possible. So, make it clear to you. Try to find out, what might that sentence mean? How can somebody come to that idea? What is really meant? Is the thing which you think you have understood really plain and logical and simple? Is it self-evident for you? If you just have to believe it, you don't understand it, then question yourself. So get more and more knowledge by trying to find out what is behind what you can read somewhere. So the golden way to understand is, accept that you are feeling stupid somewhere. Don't try to spare your own feelings. When you don't understand something, make it clear to yourself. Try to find out. Then test your first ideas. Can it really work this way? Would it be logical if it is as I imagine now? And if not, you don't yet understand, so try again to find out and climb up the ladder. And in the end, you can and will succeed and understand fully what is there. There is no other way. There are no people who can read something and directly understand things. You can perhaps have the impression things are simple, but that is usually not the case when you begin to dig deeper into the matter. And that so is important. Then, naturally, what one expects from an expert is also that that person knows about the relevant sources, so about the things where to inform yourself. Nowadays, it is very easy and frequent for people to use the internet as a source for information. Now, there is one important problem with the internet. Everybody can write and publish on the internet. You see that from this channel. I also can publish there completely uninhabitably. Nobody hinders me. And it could, or perhaps, if you think, it is the most complete rubbish which has ever been published. So the first important thing with internet sources is how can you distinguish reliable sources on a high level from things published by an idiot? And the answer is, well, for this already you need some expert knowledge. So the best thing is use the internet only as a starting point. Restrict yourself to official sources or sources from respected authors. Official sources where the internet is a respected source in academic research is, for example, court decisions which are published by European Court of Justice or the German Federal Fiscal Court, which is Bundesfinanzhof, or other decisions, or the official journals of states where the texts of laws are published. That is the most primary source then. So you can use it. But on the other hand, you very often also find, even from government institutions, rather political comments. We have achieved great progress in influencing the economy in a good way. Well, you must recognize this as just political blah blah. So that's a biased presentation or information of the facts, or perhaps that is not even facts. But what, on the other hand, can be used is, for example, government statistics published on the internet. That would be probably reliable, and that is acceptable facts, things which can be proven. So we must distinguish these things. Also accessible via internet are very often databases of publishing houses where they make available for those who pay for access for the database ebook copies or electronic copies of their textbooks from experts. There are also academic journals which sometimes after some years are stored on the internet. So there you have high-level sources. Always try to distinguish these sources. It's highly awkward if you use internet sources which are written on a beginner's level, so kindergarten sources. That is deadly for your reputation. Then naturally the most frequent, reliable, recommendable way to find sources is still go to a library. Look through the shelves for ideas. Take library catalogs. So look for dissertations, doctoral theses on your topic. Look for renowned, accepted textbooks in the matter, not absolutely beginner's guides, but things which really go deep into the matter. When it comes to legal issues, there are often books called commentaries for every single paragraph of a tax act or another law is commented in detail. So there are journals for members of a profession where experts debate about individual and highly special questions in the field. These things are also renowned and acceptable sources. So that is also highly recommendable. And naturally, if you plan your academic paper, you must know going to a library somewhere consumes 1 or 2 days. And for example, if you find one interesting source, you read it and then you look for the next sources there. Because of that academic custom that everybody gives hints to his or her sources, you can make a kind of a stepping stone model or a kind of source hopping, because you take a book, look in, read it through, and then you will see what that author of that book has used via the footnotes or the bibliography at the end of the book. There have been books where the most valuable information which I could obtain was the bibliography, because if it was a book where somebody had really worked through literature very thoroughly, and you looked into the bibliography at the end and you found some highly interesting new books or articles where you said, the title of that article electrifies me, I want to read that stuff. Then naturally you try to obtain these articles or books. That again takes time. Most often these articles are not present at the library where you are now. Now, in most cases, you don't have to travel to another library where they are present. You can go to the librarian of your library and ask for that book or article, and they will very often make it possible that another library sends the book to this library and you can use it for some days. So again, what do you do with that? You read it, look, are there hints to other promising sources, and go back again and order now the next sources. And you do this in an endless loop until you reach here my page number 5. Where you have the impression, okay, now time gets narrow, and additionally I make the experience that additional sources don't bring much additional information, so I have got the feeling, okay, I seem to be familiar with all what I need to know. There seems to be that more is not outside there in the world, the rest I have to clear my own thinking. Then it's right. So make that absolutely clear to you, that that stepping stone method or source hopping, getting forward from source to source and obtaining additional ways to find additional literature by footnotes and bibliography, makes it necessary that you need to take time, ample time, to prepare an academic paper. You will never be able to write satisfactory or even sufficient paper on an academic question within less than 2 or 3 months. And just to make that clear, I even repeat it or explain that on that slide here. Never is an English word which means never. Never means never. No exception. Never is never. Hope that you got that. So, if you really plan to take up work on an academic paper which you have to deliver next week, then you are either a genius, Mr. Einstein, or you are doomed to fail. To sum up, if you don't understand what you are writing about, you are done. over. People will not take you serious anymore. And if you don't know and use all or near all the important books and articles which have been published on the topic, you also show to others that you are not familiar with what you are writing about, because you do not know what all the others already know. So people will also regard that as not impressing, but will regard it as awkward, and your reputation suffers from that. So avoid that. Up to now, these are only the subjective aims, what you want to achieve with an academic paper. You want to impress your examiners that you have already reached a level of knowledge where you can play with them on the same level, that they can respect you as somebody who learned the skills of the discipline already well. That is the subjective aim, and you must take that very serious. Now, naturally, academic papers also have an objective aim. So what is meant, what is their inner justification? Which value have they for, or should they have for other people than you? An academic paper is not only something by which you want to pass an exam and receive a grade. There is an objective background. You want to create knowledge, so to solve a question, usually an open question. You want to show I am able to act as a grown-up in the field. I don't need to look up to all the others. I can already act on my own, and if I get confronted better with an open question, with a problem of my discipline, I can, on a professional level, solve that open question. And I can then pass on the information, how and what my solution is, in a way to others that the others can understand it and can really find out if I'm right or wrong. Naturally, what you want is that they can find out you are right, so that they can check it. From that aim that you want to create knowledge, to solve questions which are perhaps unsolved up to now, from that aim, all the other requirements of academic writing are derived. That is the overall target of everything what you are doing. Create knowledge, solve problems, or better, find the truth about your topic. Find the truth means be absolutely sure that what you write is true. Even if you have something in a source which is written there, you can say, this goes back to Mr. Smith. Not my fault. Well, then it would still be a fault. So if you take over mistakes of others, that is a mistake. You are responsible that you create knowledge, that you find the truth. And that means also that you are responsible for not taking over mistakes of others. That makes that full understanding of what you read so important. If you make mistakes, your head is off. It does not matter that others also were responsible for that. That's the same as taking part in a crime. If you are involved in a murder and somebody else made the proposal, okay, the best thing you can achieve by saying that was not my idea, I only gave the shot, is somebody else also goes to prison, but you will never walk free. And this is the same here too. To create knowledge, to solve things, solve questions, requires you need to find the true outcome of the problem. And nobody relieves you of that responsibility, and that makes every other thing necessary or that explains all the other things which you find in the field of academic writing, customs, or traditions. So to sum up, as an intermediate total or subtotal in between, there are two objectives for you if you work on an academic paper. The first, the subjective one. You want to avoid that you ruin your reputation with the examiners or other readers. You want to show you can deal with the tasks of your profession in a way that one can already take you for serious. And the objective aim is the task which you were given can be solved by you. And that last aspect explains everything which is going to follow. And this is the first thing. Everything else I'm going to present later. Thank you very much for listening up.
Yeah, sorry, that was slow speaking day. Rather a bit boring. You saw that I always was looking for words. Probably it was not my best day. One never knows if good days are going to come in the future. So a suggestion might be, if you want to enjoy this video next time a bit more, what about watching it again at 200% speed or 300% speed, or every speed which you can program on your computer? Then perhaps next time it gets a bit more entertaining and funnier. I thank you very much for watching up to now. Wish you a nice rest of the day, and now I go away. Goodbye. Till next